At this point, I'll usually use whatever my favorite accompaniments are. Things like olives, Peruvian pearls, which are pickled pepper, Marcona almonds, candied walnuts, dried dates, some pickles. I usually use cornichon pickles which are a very small gherkin, because I like the geometry of them. They're whole pickles, so they're a little bit more crunchy too as well. But it just depends on what you want to work with. I thought I would do these today for something different. And like a small jar of preserves, or honey, or whatever you like. And you can just find a nice little spot for that. I think I'm gonna put that here. And then I kind of fill in the space, you know? So what I usually like to do is, if you're really trying to maximize your impact, try to look for kind of contrasting colors, right? I'm not a professional artist, so I don't know the color wheel or anything like that, but I do know that when I put green up against orange, it seems to look very nice. It pops really well. So I'll put like my bright green Castelvetrano olives, or like maybe some bright green pickles in here, and I'll just kind of move everything to the side. What I did, and what I typically do too, is if I have some olives, or pickles, or whatever the case may be, and they're in a jar or a bowl, whether it's bulk or you buy them out of the jar or whatever you got, you know. I put them into a separate bowl first to let any of that brine come off, and the amount that you will lose in the bowl just by having that intermediate step will lose a lot of the moisture, which is nice to not soak your board. And depending on how many people you've got, you can either stack this pretty tight and you can kind of pile up your olives, or go with a little bit more minimal approach and do less, and that's fine too. So you can kind of just leave a little bit like that for some color, break up your different colors. I also like to maybe put some red in there. So red looks great next to green or white. I'll put a little bit in here next to my golden kiwi. That'll help that pop a little bit more. Oops. Maybe a little bit next to my white brie. Edelweiss in this case, but if whatever you want to use. All these little guys, these are delicious. I mean, not everybody likes them, but I think they're fantastic, and I know a lot of other people do, so I like to get all of those that I've got. Oops. Try not to do that so we don't get anything too wet, but what we can always do is, if you have a paper towel handy, just dab something right away if you happen to drop something in the wrong spot and you get something a little pickly or a little bit more moisture than you want on your board. Just dab it off really quick. I like to fill those in really just a little bit so I don't see too much of the board. The wooden ones, on the other hand, I like to do sometimes a little bit more minimal and include less on the board so that I can see more of the board, because the board itself is so nice looking. But sometimes when I'm using like a simple plastic platter or something, I like to fill it in as fully as I can so that I get less of that board peeking through. And you can do more or less of these items just depending on how much everybody likes them. I'll do a few dates in here. Next to my preserve. A few maybe dates over here. Got a few Marcona almonds because these are delicious. Everybody always loves these. And I think we're pretty good right there. We can add a little bit of pecans if we want. Or, sorry, walnuts. Just for something a little sweet. Put a little on my cheese even if I want to. Because these candied nuts, especially like a walnut, is really good with a brie, a little drizzle of honey, or you can do it with a blue cheese as well. And you're all set.